sitting with the first Ghanaian boxer to win a world title. That is in the person of Mr. David Kotey, popularly known as dkpoison, who is going to share with us his life story, his success, challenges as a boxer. Thank you, sir, for having us today.
Thank you. Welcome to the Old Pensioners Aboard.
Thank you once again for having us. Let's start with your childhood.
At
what point did you think you could be a boxer?
Where do I start from? I think when I was attending school, at when I completed my elementary school, then my daddy asked me what next. What would I do next time? And I told him I would like to further my education, but he asked me whether technical or what you call or secondary. I said okay, I would like to. I would like to attend to. I would like to continue at technical. I want to be a technician. Then he said okay, I should go and find the school, whichever school I'll find. I should come and tell me. So I went around. I found a Brass Star engineering school. So I said to myself, I wanted to be an electrician, not electrical engineering. That's electrician, just to wire and to repair some gadgets or something, because I thought I was not so clever enough. That was I said to myself. So I went back and said to my daddy that I found a school. I said okay, how many years duration? I said 3 years duration. And that time it was 3 years duration. If you want to make to be an electrician, to run the wires, to repair gadgets or something. Yeah, like so okay. So he asked me how many years. I told him 3 years. So I started going to. Anytime you go to school, there were some of boys who I would say they came from well-to-do house, so they only buy newspapers. If they buy newspaper, the first page we read or with the open sports page. And one day when they open and then when they open the page, they saw a guy, the portrait, the picture, and there they said he was going to defend his title. They said they called me loudly, come and say this boy resembles you. And I said, when I saw this, I said, oh, if this small boy is going to be a this, and then me also I can be a boxer or I can beat him if I need. So that's where I took it from. So when I went home, by that I was starting in school. So when I went home, I made my plan. I went and gathered some poles to erect. I said this is there hang. I went and found some the army's kit bags, I hang that is I used that once when back. Somewhere when I was at somewhere on the line, the proprietor of the Baxter Square, the name was I think DeCraft Akins or so. He had a brother who was also managing Sumu Technical, one of the normal technical school, a normal secondary school. Unfortunately, the man died, so the brother has to combine all the two to make it technical, secondary technical. So the duration becomes 5 years instead of 10. So I went and talked to my dad that this is how the situation. He said, oh, look, he said, you told me 3 years, but my father was not educated, we were by then about 8 children. I have about 7 children. So it's okay. Either you complete by that time was second year. Either you complete, you complete the 3 years, or I said to myself, what do I have to do? So said no, then I stopped. I continued my lesson. There he said, look, you have stopped because of this boxing. You have stopped your schooling. Yeah. I become a dropout, like this thing. So there was this conflict between us, and I have to leave the house and stay with a friend.
Okay, so that was when you started training.
Exactly. But by that time, meanwhile, like I said, I erected this thing, but the poles, I fixed everything, and I started from that. But not seriously, no. So I went and stayed with my friend. And when there was this guy who surprised people with newspapers. I can't remember. I don't know how come. You know, he came to our line. No. He also okay. This boy comes to our house. No, anytime he went and surprised us. Then I can't remember exactly, but through some conversation, no, he said, oh, he goes around and surprise even to Joe Tete's camp. And when I said Joe Tete is one of the boxers, great boxers, you know, do this. So I told him to, I told him to, when he goes, we told JK that one of his supporters would like to come and, you know, learn the trade. He said, yo. So when he went in, I think he went and told you guys, the said, Joe Tete said I should, you know, always be welcome. Came into him. So I went there, I introduced myself to him. I said, yeah, so you said you gave the message to the newspaper seller. I said, yes. He said, okay. So he asked me, how far have I reached with the boxing? I said, oh, I'm a novice. Just a starter. I just want to begin. So, you know, they started me with the basic, you know. They drew a line. They drew a line. You know, so the stand like this. That was the basic. You'll be on this thing for 1 week. If they see your progress, then they change it. Then that was the first basic. I was standing like they do the last stood for 1 year. I stood that for 1 year. Then the second, they let me, you know, taught me how to punch. Give a punch like this, punch like punch. Then the third week, they said I should shadow boxing. I should put in, as you know, as if I'm boxing somebody. When I started, then the trainer name was JK Mason. He said, okay, so but you told us that you haven't, you know, I said yes. He said, but you said you haven't learned it from anywhere. I said, yeah, this is my first time. I said, you are telling lies. You know, so that's how I started, you know, become this thing. So to understand what being, even by that time, we have about 6 or some boxers there. And I mentioned about Joe Tete, but then he was champion. He was ready. He was about to leave the country for Morris. So I was not. By then I was not fighting as a feather. My weight was not featherweight. I was bantamweight. But because he's leaving, and in the bantamweight there was a bantamweight champion in our gym, so I have to move to featherweight. You know, that's why I started boxing as a featherweight.
Let's start with your professional boxing.
I didn't fight as an amateur. I didn't fight as an amateur. Straight to pro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, straight to pro. And I remember where my first fight was, I think in 1966 or so. I fought one famous Lati. That's how I started the pro. I didn't box as an amateur. I didn't fight at all. No.
So let's go to the fight that won you the world title. How was it like? How was the feeling to be the first Ghanaian to win the world title, and how the country reacted at that time?
Okay, you call the whole thing short, but okay. You know, when I started boxing, like I said, my maiden fight was in 1966. I won some. Then I fought a couple of fights and reached the stage. There was no opponent, and there was a trainer who once managed one of our local boxers. The name was Kutey Robertson. He had the opportunity, or they had it to fight world champion here. He was the first Ghanaian to fight world champion here in Ghana. Okay. But the second Ghanaian who fought world title, you understand? He's the first Ghanaian fought world title here. Okay. That was in 64. So so his manager, who happened to be a Scots guy, you know, after Kutey retired, he went to Australia doing business there. So he wrote to one of our national coach. The name was Rankra, that he needed some good boxers as the first one. Then he mean Kutey Roberts, you know. So Rankra recommended me to him. You know, so we correspond for some few weeks. And said, okay, he was prepared to manage me, and I should come down to Australia. He bought everything, you know. So, I sent a ticket, everything. So I went to Australia. I had about 6 fights. I lost one, which which people tend the home teaching. After that, no contest. No fight was not coming anymore. But there was this one guy who was holding the Commonwealth title. The name was Ture George, T-O-R-O, Ture George. He lived in New Zealand. And I told my manager that, look, let's capture the Commonwealth. That will enable us to, that will pave way for us to fight for the world. Because initially, honestly, but then I was not, I was green. I didn't know. I thought boxing was like a school, where you go to GSS, then you go to before. They said, no, DK, you have been mistaken. So he asked me whether Americans are in the Commonwealth. And I said, okay, let's go. So we couldn't fight. And before that, when I said we should fight for this thing, we try to, get chance to fight, but always the champion always refused, He didn't want to fight. He said, okay, it came to a stage when I said, they should tell me that, I'm going to fight for free. If like, I'll give my price for you. I just wanted the 30. So no, so we have to pack our baggage and go to US.
Probably at that time they've seen how you.
Yeah. Nobody was prepared to fight me again. So we went to pack our baggage and went to USA. There also we stayed for some time. Before we reached there, the news was there. So you are so you come from yes. There they always protect, they protect their boxers, They avoid whom they think or whom they thought it could, So I couldn't get a chance. I was there for about almost 8 months or so. I get London to contact one Jack Salomons. He was a promoter, Asian promoter. He promoted the first world title in Ghana. And going to talk to him and see what we could do. So when he went, he called me and said, okay, Jack Solomon said, if we could raise money like we did at the first, like 64, was prepared to do. But that time, before we came down, I told my manager, no, Ghana economy was in red because it was a military regime. Because they say the constitutional government have the president and this have Ms. Bezel, so that's why they took over, and right now the economy was pressed. So I don't think he said, so DK, if you go to somebody's country, he said he doesn't want you, what do we do? You stay there? He said, okay, I'm going. He's a Scotch. He said, so I'm going. So when he said, okay, I have no authority to come down. So we met at London. We came down to Ghana. Now I'm going to go down, but the boxing, by then the boxing went down completely. No, it was no activities by then. But where do we start from? The government is not like a one-man affair. It's a big decision. Where do I start from? Fortunately or unfortunately, we are thinking about that. I have a brother who works at foreign ministry. So we sat down and have a thought what we can do, what we could do, and said, okay. But then one, like I said, it was military regime, but one General Kotey, who we came from the same clan, but not closer. The thing. He said, okay, we should. But then he was GFA chairman, and so we thought if you approach him, he could be a good help for us. But somebody told us that no, it doesn't do, it doesn't help his own people. So somebody refer us to his for his sister. When we went and talked to his sister, he said, "Oh, yeah, it's true. The person who told you that is true. Your brother doesn't help his own people, but she, the sister, says she has a friend who is a friend to like a minister or commissioner for sports, and the name was Kenan Kegbe. So the friend went and talked to Kenan Kegbe. This was saying. So he invited us, me and my brother. We went there together. So we put our case across. He said, okay. So it's like we think about it. And later when we went back later, I said, okay, he was going to invite some people. I remember I gave him some of the people who promoted the 1964, the first Red 30, the tapping. So I mentioned those who came to mind. Then he called them. They said, okay, they mandated him, that they should produce world champion within the shortest possible time. So what I have to do? So I mentioned, I knew about just start now. Then some few people, when they called them, they say, okay, when he mandated them, they have to form a syndicate. The syndicate, then they say subcommittee within the syndicate. We have promotion group, then welfare, then exactly. They say, okay. Then honestly, Justana, so he was by then he was a promoter, but I think stopped for everyone. So honestly, heard of me, but he didn't know me. I didn't know me. He said, heard about me. I think when I was fighting, also heard about me. So he asked who was my trainer. He asked me about my trainer. Who was he? I said, okay. So local boy said, oh, he didn't trust all these people. So he knew two people. The name was Acheampong Era, who was a great boxer. Then Kotey Robertson, like I said. He said, choose one from them. And I said they should give me time. I went and talked about this. I chose Acheampong Era. We didn't know each other, but you can say okay, like government has invested in you, so like they are going to I have to justify my this capability or ability to so instead of them I thought they was going to start from there. They brought somebody whom to test my this thing. Yeah. So okay, they brought him. I beat him. I beat for some time. I was not even the ratings, the world ratings, but they brought somebody. The name was I think somebody. I beat him. I knocked him out. They brought another about 3 or 5 sets. But then, like I said, my manager left. Yes, he said, we Africans or we Ghanaians are too slow doing things. So he left Ghana. He went to his country. He said, Ghanaians, we are too slow in doing things. So left. So then, like I said, I won about 2 fights. But then I was not put in there. I was not in the ratings. How do I come to the so there was this guy who said it was this guy. The name was he was a South African, and the name was Bobby Nedu. He's a writer. He said the reason why African boxers are not ratings or they haven't got a body that body like to push it. So they form a ABU, African Boxing Union. They have to fight to occupy their position. So they asked one Lovaloti, but then he was in Spain. But then he was fighting in Spain. Then they said he should go and fight for the this thing, for the Africanboxing, featherweight thing. So somebody said, okay, he was too old, and that I rather should go and fight. But that's meanwhile. Okay, by then there was this guy also, a Tunisian. I think he was number 6 in the ratings. I think so. You see, and he also wanted to fight for the 30. So they said we should go and fight for the ABU. Whoever wins, we fight for the 30. Okay, so I have to leave Ghana to Tunis. We reach Tunis. Our treatment was fine. They received it fine. When the fight, they came. We went to the stadium. Boxing like that nature, you have to. People have to fight for underdog. Undercard. We are the main battle. So I think after the undercards, they haven't finished all. Then it reached our turn. When he entered the ring, he threw the guy. The name was Tahar Ben Hassan. He threw a punch. At deck he punched him. And I threw one punch. Then he went down, fell down for good. He didn't wake up. But then it was that when people started coming to the arena. Hope they were disappointed, so we left. When we reached our hotel, nobody attended to us. They said we should. Defeated their own. They said we should leave immediately. But the program was that we have to book, our flight, and try to connect. So the force said it took us. When it took us about 8 minutes before we were paid. I'm paid my pass. But by that time, even the government intervened. Government intervened. So they started. So when I went that time, then say okay, another guy. The name was Evans Armstrong. He was, I think, was he a Commonwealth? No, but then the Commonwealth vacant by first. So it was a hell of a fight. But all the same, I stopped in the 11th round. So that was the final. So I have to go to US to train there. Then I went there for some time. When I went, the promoter who was putting the first circle, they have never heard of me. They haven't seen me before. So I came from Africa. How the thing here. So I said no, I couldn't train. I went outside one. I said I couldn't. So they sent me to 42nd Street where they start training. Anytime we go to the gym, you see, they will send spies to come and watch me. At a certain stage, one of the spies came and spy with me. But I knew what I was doing. I couldn't put up a good show. And they said, okay, so this spy went into realize that they're just ordinary boxer. They were coming to find some few dollars and then they said he lies. About 3 days to the fight, we went for what they call it press conference. During the conference, he said, as for him, he was going to knock me early in the fight because he knew that he had how do you call it, that I go to bed at 8 o'clock, and that was exactly what I did. When I liked. So
you like sleeping
a lot. I like plenty of rest, honestly. By then, during my days, I like so. Somebody told he got to know that as early as 8 o'clock, I go to bed. I said, by then he will knock me by at least during that time because by then I'll be dreaming. I was thinking I'm in the bed dreaming. So okay. Then he started bed. Then I start dragging the from here. I said, this time I'm going to take it on Saturday. Just not that particular bet.
Yeah, it was like a press conference.
Exactly. So I was pulling drawings. So that was Wednesday. That one was, I think, was before the fight, 3 days before the fight. So after 3 days, you know, he had a plan in his mind. The only was Saturday. I think Saturday. I think Friday night. You know, in California there were many Mexicans there. You know, so he sent some of the beautiful girls to come and say hello. I told them, look, I told them that they were beautiful, but let me tell them something. Some of us, you know, Africans, like they know, some of us, sometimes, you know, we don't bring something into it. It's what I told them. I've left my manhood in Africa. Yeah. So after that, they decided to. That's one of his tricks. So came Saturday, we entered the ring, you know, and you know, California boxing rules. When you knock somebody down, you knock an opponent down. If he didn't sleep, if he punch, then he has lost 3 points. So when he started, I think it was the first round or second round, I knocked him down. That's what they accepted it as a knockdown. Then 5th round also, I knocked him down. They didn't accept it. You know, the white men did. No, they couldn't even announce the winner. They started throwing, you know, muzzles like Coca-Cola cans, you know, to drinking this also. They were ushered to our dressing room. It took about 1 hour before it was announced. As I am the winner. So see, even before, okay, when I went to USA, I went and lodged my, like I said, my brother is sitting. My brother was sitting. You know, he was a diplomat. He works with our mission in USA. So he had been, you know, helping me, taking me to a gym camp. Then I remember we had a friend. I didn't know he got to that train. Then the friend told us that there was a particular person. If you go to California, you should try to find him, and he should be at our ringside. If we didn't do that, we were going to lose the fight. So I asked my brother, what was the purpose, or to know? He said, this is what the man said. So we have to employ his services at a fee. After the fight, then I knew what the man was. He was a mafia. Oh. If not because of him, they wouldn't have given the verdict. Yes. No mafia, you pay with mafia, you lose your life. Wow. So that's how it ended.
So when you came to Ghana, how did the people receive you?
Oh, it was fantastic. I don't have word to describe. Yeah. I haven't seen someone in my life before. When I came, before we came down to Ghana, you know, we have to leave USA and connect at London, in the airport. But something happened when we were coming. The plane which was supposed to bring us to London, there was a problem. You couldn't take on the time, so he delayed. So when I reached London, people were Ghana Airways, people were grumbling because of one person. Yeah. Have to see. But when they saw me, they were all happy. They said, So like you said, when we touched Kotoka International, before we landed or before we touched the airport, they asked the pilot whether the champ was in there on the car. They said yes. So they look. So then the plane, when the plane landed, oh man, come and see. I couldn't help it. Yeah, you know, there was this tears running from my eyes. They call that a mixed feeling also. just start running from mine. Come on, I couldn't help it. Hey, I've never seen some before. Apart from that one, come and see. The Principal Street. As if they were told to, line up there.
Yeah, welcoming their champion.
From Kotoka International Port, past to formerly what is the hotel name? Continental Hotel. Then to Accra Guest, Kudi.
Wow.
Then to Mambobi. Then to Nima Police Down. Then to Circle. Then to no, we didn't. We pressed straight to Circle, straight to straight to Adabraka. Then Adabraka Police Station to Kingsway, then to Watu, Watu. Then they come there to Cabre, that Barclays Bank there. Then to straight to this thing, to the castle. See me. I was waving the crowd. Come on, see. I was tied like monkey. So I said, if I knew this was going to, I wouldn't have taken this thing for my as a profession, because the fight itself was not difficult.
But the welcoming was overwhelming.
My hand couldn't be. And so we went to the we went to the castle. Yeah. And interesting thing, I told you that when I wanted to start, my parents, my mother, especially my father, said, he said, no.
He didn't believe in you at that
time. No, that he didn't believe. He says, he said, it's like drop out,
Oh, okay.
People. So
the profession is for life.
like by then, soccer, football, and this, regarded as a vagabonds or dropout people. But lo and behold, they were at the castle before I read it. You see now.
They were happy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now let's talk about your challenges.
I said we call it rebirth, but whatever you choose to call it, reincarnation. When I was born, I was sure some. You see some lamp here, some small lamp here.
Oh, okay.
I was born with it. I didn't have it in the box. I didn't have it in the box.
Oh, okay. So you were born with
this great grandfather. If you know what we call Asafatre,
those days.
Yeah, he was their leader.
Oh.
You can't play, the name was poison. They give it, and they poison you. That's how the name came.
Oh, that's quite interesting. This is the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, so any advice for the youth, especially the upcoming boxers? Who have
I heard most of them. Sometimes how to end up every business or every position. You have to concentrate. Yes. You have to take as a profession. Though they not as a profession, you have to take it as a. You shouldn't have to take it as a love it. Yeah. I will tell you a bit of my time. During my time, when I go, like I said, I like Prince of Wales, so I will go to bed 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
By 2:30. I wake up 2:30 in the morning. I wake up. By the time I finish dressing up, maybe it will be 2 o'clock. You see me on the road, jogging. When I return, I don't know how to put it. See,
put in your
all effort. Whether it's your everything, and there are don't and.
Yeah, there are certain things you should stay away from.
That's and don't. Yeah. So you have know that. You shouldn't play. They shouldn't play with the box. You see, I don't know. I still make training instead of 3 rounds. If instead of 3 minutes, I'll do it 4 minutes. Not always, of course. Not always. I remember sometimes during the training, sometimes my trainer will say, "Oh, stop," because you have seen what he wanted to see already. So it's a hard work. They should concentrate. They shouldn't.
The recognition is what will bring in the money.
First, so I remember, during was it 1972 or so, the president by then the president, I think, Buzia, he sacked all the aliens. they call it me aliens compliance order. So my
Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
For
You are welcome.
It's been a privilege.